The massive alien ships appeared in Earth's sky on a Tuesday morning. They came without warning, 7 enormous vessels that blocked out the sun in some parts of the world. People stopped what they were doing and looked up. Some ran, some prayed. Most just stared in wonder. Lieutenant Commander Abigail Wright did not have time to stare. She rushed through the crowded halls of the Pentagon, tablet in hand, trying to reach the emergency meeting room. Military personnel moved quickly around her, their faces tense but focused. No one had trained for this exact scenario, but they had prepared for something like it. Lieutenant Commander Wright called Admiral Joseph Coleman as she entered the room. "Good, you're here. What do we know about our visitors?" Abigail placed her tablet on the table. The screen showed close-up images of the alien vessels. They were beautiful in a strange way, sleek, silvery ships that seemed to shine with an inner light. They looked like giant teardrops made of polished metal. 7 ships, sir. The largest is about 3 miles long. They're positioned over major cities: New York, London, Beijing, Moscow, New Delhi, Tokyo, and Cairo. They haven't made any aggressive moves, but they've ignored all our attempts at communication. The room was quiet. 20 of Earth's top military leaders sat around the table, faces grim. "Until now," Abigail added, tapping her tablet. "This message came through 5 minutes ago on all radio frequencies." She played the recording. A calm, smooth voice spoke perfect English. "People of Earth, we are the Galactic Confederation. We come in peace. We have watched your world for many years. You are now ready to join the greater community of spacefaring beings. We will meet with your leaders in 24 hours. Please prepare a reception at your International Space Station." Admiral Coleman rubbed his chin. "They speak English. That's interesting." "All languages, sir," Abigail said. The message played, in the native language of every country. "What are your thoughts, Lieutenant Commander?" asked General Frank Porter from across the table. Abigail hesitated only briefly. "It feels like a show, sir. They arrive with a dramatic entrance, position themselves over our major cities, ignore us until they're ready, then make their announcement. They want us impressed and a little afraid." Coleman nodded slowly. "I agree. This is about establishing dominance from the start. Like when European explorers arrived in the Americas with their big ships and fancy uniforms." The president's voice came through the speakers. "Admiral Coleman, what are your recommendations?" "Madam President, I suggest we play along. Show them our standard fleet. Let them think they have the upper hand. Meanwhile, we activate Protocol Omega." There was a moment of silence. "Are you sure that's necessary?" the president asked. "Yes, Madam President. They've already shown they like power displays. We need to be prepared for all possibilities." "Very well. Protocol Omega is authorized. But Admiral, let's hope we don't need it." 12 hours later, Abigail stood in the control room of the International Space Station. The place had been transformed. The usually plain walls were now covered with flags from nations around the world. The cramped space had been rearranged to create a small reception area. "They'll be here in 10 minutes, said Commander Sam Harris, the station's leader. He looked nervous, adjusting his uniform for the 5th time. Abigail understood his anxiety. The future of humanity might depend on this first meeting. "Remember," she said quietly, "they want us to be impressed. So act impressed." The station shook slightly as the alien ship connected to the docking bay. The humans gathered, hearts racing as the airlock door slowly opened. The aliens looked almost human, but not quite. They were tall and thin with blue-tinted skin that seemed to shimmer slightly. Their eyes were large, completely black, and had no visible pupils. 5 of them entered the station, dressed in what appeared to be military uniforms. Sleek, metallic, suits that changed color slightly as they moved. The one in front stepped forward. "I am Ambassador Zorian of the Galactic Confederation. We are pleased to make formal contact with your species." "Welcome to Earth's International Space Station," Commander Harris said, his voice steady despite his nerves. "I am Commander Harris, and this is Lieutenant Commander Wright, representing Earth's United Military Forces." Zorian looked around the station, a small smile on his face. "Your orbital habitat is charming. Very resourceful for a species at your development stage. The condescension in his voice was clear. Abigail forced herself to smile politely. Thank you, Ambassador. We're still learning. Indeed, we have come to help accelerate that learning. The Confederation believes that all intelligent species should have the opportunity to join our community. Zorian gestured, and one of the aliens behind him stepped forward with a small, cube-shaped device. This is a gift, a data core containing information about basic space travel improvements. Nothing too advanced, we wouldn't want to overwhelm you. Abigail accepted the cube with appropriate gratitude, even as she noted the patronizing tone. We would like to invite your representatives to tour our vessel, Zorian continued. And perhaps you could show us your military ships? We are always curious about different approaches to space travel. We would be honored, Abigail replied. 2 hours later, Abigail watched the aliens' reactions as they observed Earth's best ships through the station's viewing window. The human vessels looked bulky and primitive compared to the sleek alien ships. This was exactly as planned. Your propulsion systems are nuclear? Zorian asked, not hiding his amusement. Yes, Ambassador. We're quite proud of how far we've come. Of course. We used similar technology thousands of years ago. After the aliens left, Admiral Coleman connected through a secure channel. How did it go? Exactly as expected, sir, Abigail reported. They think we're centuries behind them. Ambassador Zorian practically patted us on the head. Good, Coleman said. And Protocol Omega? All systems ready, sir. The fleet is in position, deep beneath the Pacific Ocean, in a base unknown to most. Humans, Earth's real fleet, waited. Hidden in underground hangars and underwater bases across the planet were ships that would make Zorian's vessels look primitive by comparison. Ships built with technology humans had developed in secret over decades, preparing for this very moment. Let's hope we never need them, Coleman said. But if these Confederation friends aren't what they seem, then they'll learn that humans don't show all their cards at once, Abigail finished. As the alien ships glittered in Earth orbit, humanity kept its greatest secret hidden, watching and waiting to see if these visitors were truly friends, or something else entirely. 3 months passed since the aliens first arrived. The Galactic Confederation had established an embassy in Geneva, Switzerland. They shared some technology with Earth, better solar panels, more efficient farming methods, and basic medical improvements. These gifts made most people happy. The aliens seemed generous and kind. Commander Paul Winters was not most people. He sat in his underground office looking at screens filled with data. As head of Earth's counterintelligence division, his job was to be suspicious. The office was deep beneath Wyoming, in a facility that officially did not exist. Something isn't right, he said to General Susan Miller, who stood behind him. Look at these patterns. The screen showed the movements of alien ships around Earth's orbit. They're mapping our defense systems, Susan said quietly. Testing our radar coverage. Paul nodded. And that's not all. The gifts they've given us, I've had our best scientists study them. They're outdated technology by their standards, something that would help us if there was a conflict. Susan frowned. Can we prove they have bad intentions? I think we can now. Paul pressed a button, and a new image appeared. It showed the dark side of the moon. Hidden there were dozens of alien ships, much larger and more menacing than the peaceful vessels they had shown to Earth. Our stealth satellites took these yesterday. They don't know we can see them. Our public space program doesn't have this capability. Susan studied the images. A hidden fleet, that's not very friendly. There's more, Paul continued. He played an audio recording. The alien language sounded like music, but the translation appeared as text on the screen. Harvest preparation continues on schedule. The humans suspect nothing. Their world will make an excellent addition to our resource planets. Susan's face hardened. They're planning to take Earth. Yes. And they think we're helpless. Paul brought up another screen. Our deep space probes have detected more ships, coming, hundreds of them just beyond Mars. We need to inform the president, Susan said, and activate the Phoenix fleet. Already done, Admiral Coleman is bringing all forces to standby status. Susan looked troubled. We need to be certain. Maybe there's an explanation. I thought you might say that, Paul replied. That's why I proposed Operation Mousetrap. The president approved it this morning. He explained the plan. Earth would send a seemingly unprotected colony ship near the moon's dark side, where the alien fleet was hiding. If the Confederation was truly peaceful, they would simply make contact and escort the ship back to Earth. If not, the ship is crewed by military personnel posing as civilians, Paul said. It's also fitted with our best monitoring equipment. If they attack or capture it, we'll know their real intentions. 2 days later, Paul and Susan sat in the control center with Admiral Coleman. On the main screen, they watched the colony ship venture approach the dark side of the moon. They've spotted our ship, a technician reported. Alien vessels are moving to intercept. Everyone in the room held their breath. The Venture is sending standard greetings, another officer said. They're pretending to be lost. Minutes passed. Then the communication officer turned, face pale. The Venture has gone silent. No emergency signal. More minutes passed. The tension in the room grew. Wait, the sensor officer called out. We have movement. 3 alien ships are leaving the dark side. The Venture is with them, but it's being towed. No power signature. Admiral Coleman stood up. Can we get any transmission from the crew? Nothing, sir. But our hidden sensors on the ship are still working. They're sending data. The technician's voice became strained. Sir, life signs aboard the Venture are gone. All 40 crew members. A cold silence fell over the room. They killed them, Susan whispered. No, Paul corrected, looking at the incoming data. They're not dead. They've been taken. Transported to the alien ship. Admiral Coleman's face showed no emotion, but his voice was ice cold. We have our answer. The Confederation is not here in peace. He pressed a button on the command table. This is Admiral Coleman. Authorization Phoenix Rising. I repeat, Phoenix Rising. All units prepare for immediate action. Throughout the solar system, hidden human forces received the message. Deep beneath Earth's oceans, in secret bases on Mars and Venus and disguised as asteroids in the belt between Mars and Jupiter, humanity's real fleet began to power up. The next morning, Zorian requested an emergency meeting with Earth's leaders. Paul watched on a secure feed as the alien ambassador addressed the United Nations. People of Earth, Zorian said, his tone no longer friendly. We have detected your secret military vessel attempting to spy on our peaceful operations. This is a violation of our trust. The human delegates looked confused. They had not been told about the Venture. Furthermore, Zorian continued, we have discovered preparations for military action against us. This cannot be allowed. The alien's voice became cold. The Galactic Confederation hereby demands Earth's immediate surrender. Our fleet of 300 warships now surrounds your planet. Your military forces are no match for ours. Gasps filled the United Nations chamber. Your people will not be harmed if you comply, Zorian said. You will serve as labor in our expansion efforts. Resistance would be pointless and would only result in unnecessary suffering. On screens across Earth, people watched as alien warships decloaked around the planet. Massive vessels, bristling with weapons, appeared in the skies. In the control center, Admiral Coleman received a private message from the president. They've shown their true colors. Defend Earth by all means necessary. Coleman nodded to Paul and Susan. Send the signal. Paul pressed a button on his console and spoke clearly. Execute Operation Revelation. Throughout the solar system, what had appeared to be asteroids, abandoned. Satellites and space debris suddenly came alive. Massive warships dwarfing anything the Confederation had brought, decloaked in perfect formation. The true Earth fleet, over 800 vessels strong, had been hiding in plain sight. In the United Nations, Zorian was still speaking when an aide rushed to his side. The alien's expression changed from confidence to confusion as he handed a message. This is impossible, he stammered, looking at the data. Your civilization is barely 2 centuries into the space age. The human delegates looked equally confused until the large screens in the chamber changed to show the Earth fleet revealing itself. Admiral Coleman's voice broadcast across all channels, to both humans and aliens. Ambassador Xorian, perhaps, we should discuss the return of our people and the true nature of peaceful cooperation. Captain Nathan Reeves sat in the command chair of the Earth battleship Invincible. Around him, the bridge crew worked in focused silence. Outside the viewports, space was filled with ships. The alien vessels looked impressive with their sleek designs and glowing weapons, but now they were surrounded by the true might of Earth's fleet. "All systems ready, Captain," said his first officer, Linda Martinez. Her voice was calm, but her eyes showed the same tension everyone felt. "Thank you, Commander," Nathan replied. "Status of the alien fleet?" "They appear confused, sir. Their ships are moving into defensive positions, but they're not well coordinated." Nathan nodded. The Confederation hadn't expected this. They thought they were dealing with a primitive species that would surrender at the first show of force. Now they were facing hundreds of advanced Earth warships that had appeared out of nowhere. The main screen lit up with an incoming transmission. Admiral Olivia Garcia's face appeared. She was on the command station hidden inside Mars Olympus Mons volcano. "Captain Reeves, your battle group will move to secure the hostages from the Venture. We have their exact location on the alien flagship. Minimal force, surgical precision." "Understood, Admiral. What about the rest of the alien fleet?" "We'll give them one chance to surrender. If they refuse, disable their ships. No unnecessary casualties." The screen changed to show Xorian. The alien ambassador looked shaken. "This is impossible," he said. "We've studied your civilization for years. You were launching primitive chemical rockets just decades ago. These ships cannot be yours." Admiral Garcia's voice was cold. "You studied what we wanted you to see, Ambassador. Humanity learned long ago to keep our true capabilities hidden. Now return our people from the Venture immediately, or we will retrieve them ourselves." Xorian's black eyes narrowed. "You're bluffing. Those ships must be holograms or—" "Battle Group 5, move into position," Garcia ordered. Nathan pressed a button on his chair. "You heard the Admiral. Move us in." The Invincible, along with 20 other Earth ships, broke formation and headed directly toward the alien flagship. The massive ship was surrounded by a dozen smaller vessels in a protective pattern. "They're charging weapons," Linda reported. "Shields at maximum," Nathan ordered. "But hold fire unless fired upon." The alien ships fired first. Bright energy beams shot through space toward the Earth vessels. The beams hit the Invincible's shields, which flared blue but held strong. "Shields holding at 97%, reported the tactical officer. "Their weapons are not as powerful as we expected." "Return fire," Nathan said. "Targeted disabling shots only. Take out their weapons and engines." Earth's ships fired. Unlike the bright beams of the aliens, these weapons were almost invisible. Concentrated gravity pulses that simply bypassed the alien shields as if they weren't there. On the screens, they could see the alien vessels suddenly lose power as their engine sections were precisely damaged. "Sir, 5 enemy ships disabled," the tactical officer reported. "No life support damage." The alien flagship tried to retreat, but it was too late. The Invincible and 2 other ships positioned themselves around it, trapping it in a triangle formation. "Open a channel," Nathan ordered. Xorian's face appeared on screen again. He looked angry now. "This is your final warning," Nathan said calmly. "Return our people and surrender your weapons, or we will board your vessel and take them back ourselves." "How?" Xorian demanded. "How does your kind have this technology? It should be impossible." Nathan just stared at him, waiting for an answer to his demand. "Very well," Xorian finally said. "We will return your spies." "They are not spies. They are innocent crew members whom you kidnapped," Nathan corrected him, "and we want them all back unharmed." 30 minutes later, all 40 crew members from the Venture were safely back on the Invincible. They looked shaken but were physically unharmed. "They were studying us," said the Venture's captain, a woman named Karen Young. "Taking tissue samples, scanning our brains." They seemed especially interested in our language centers. Nathan nodded. Get some rest. You're safe now. On Rao, the main view screen, the battle across Earth orbit was already ending. Most of the alien ships had been disabled with surgical precision. Only a few had tried to flee, and they were quickly caught by faster Earth vessels. Admiral Garcia appeared on screen again. Well done, Captain. The President is about to address the Confederation leadership. All ships maintain positions. The screen changed to show the President of the United World Council. She stood with quiet dignity, facing Zorian and several other alien leaders who had been brought to the United Nations chamber. People of the Galactic Confederation, she said. Today you have learned something important about humanity. We do not show all our strength. We do not boast. We prepare. She walked closer to the aliens. For centuries, Earth nations fought each other. We nearly destroyed ourselves many times. But 50 years ago, when we detected the first signs of alien civilizations, we understood that we needed to unite. The alien leaders looked shocked. You detected us 50 years ago, impossible. Your technology was exactly what we wanted you to think it was, the President finished for him. While we showed the galaxy our public space program with its simple rockets and basic satellites, the United Governments of Earth built our real fleet in secret. She gestured to a screen showing Earth's ships surrounding the disabled alien fleet. Now, let me be clear, we do not want war, we never did. But we will not be conquered, enslaved, or treated as a harvest world as your private communications called us. Zorian seemed to shrink under her gaze. Here are our terms, the President continued. Your ships will be allowed to leave our solar system after we remove their weapons. You will never return with hostile intent, and you will inform the rest of the Confederation that Earth is under our protection. And if we refuse? One of the other alien leaders asked. Admiral Garcia's voice came through clearly. Then none of your ships will leave at all. The room was silent. Finally, Zorian spoke, his voice much less confident than before. We accept your terms. On the bridge of the Invincible, Nathan allowed himself a small smile. Humanity had revealed itself to the galaxy today. The path ahead would not be easy, but at least the Confederation now understood one important thing. Earth was not a primitive world to be harvested. It was a force to be respected. Stand down to condition, Yellow, he ordered his crew. But keep shields up. This isn't over yet. 1 week after the confrontation, Commander Ryan Foster stood in a large meeting room aboard the Earth diplomatic vessel Peace. The ship was in orbit around Jupiter's moon Europa, far from Earth but still within the solar system. Across from him sat 5 representatives of the Galactic Confederation, including Zorian. The aliens looked much less proud now. Their ships had been disarmed and were being escorted to the edge of the solar system. But there were still many questions to answer. We want to understand, said one of the aliens named Talara. She seemed more reasonable than Zorian. How did humans develop such advanced technology without our knowledge? We have been watching Earth for over a century. Ryan smiled slightly. You were watching what we wanted you to see. He pressed a button, and a hologram appeared in the center of the room. It showed Earth as it was 50 years ago. When our radio telescopes first detected signals from other civilizations, our world leaders faced a choice: announce our discovery to the public, or keep it secret until we learned more about what was out there. The hologram changed to show early pictures of alien ships near the edges of the solar system. We saw how you treated other developing worlds. Some of your ships didn't notice our early probes, and we recorded your conversations. You called them harvest planets and resource worlds. We heard how the Confederation absorbed them, took their resources, and used their people as cheap labor. Zorian shifted uncomfortably in his seat. So we prepared, Ryan continued. The nations of Earth formed a secret pact. While we continued to fight our public wars and show our normal technological progress to the watching galaxy, underground we built something else entirely. The hologram showed vast underground facilities where ships were being constructed. Every major nation contributed their best scientists, engineers, and resources to the project. We called it the Phoenix Program, the firebird that would rise, To protect Earth if needed. Talara leaned forward. But the technology, it's beyond what you should have. The gravity weapons, the shield systems, these are technologies that took our civilization thousands of years to develop. Ryan nodded. That's where our story gets more interesting. We had help. A door opened, and two tall figures entered the room. They looked humanoid but had silver skin that seemed to glow faintly. Their eyes were large and completely white. The Confederation aliens gasped. Zorian actually stood up in shock. "Arcturians!" he exclaimed. "But your species was wiped out centuries ago." One of the silver beings spoke, its voice like soft music. "Not wiped out. Hidden. Just as humans hid their true capabilities, we hid our survival." Ryan gestured to the Arcturians. "Meet our teachers and allies. The Confederation tried to destroy their civilization 300 years ago when they refused to join you. But some escaped and went into hiding. The hologram changed again, showing a small ship landing on Earth 40 years ago. They found us when we were just beginning our space exploration. They saw in us something worth protecting, a species that valued freedom and individuality, so they offered to help us prepare for the day when the Confederation would come to make Earth another harvest world." Zorian slowly sat down, his expression one of defeat. "This changes everything. The Arcturians were the most technologically advanced species we had ever encountered. If they have been helping humans all this time..." "There's more," Ryan said. He motioned toward another door. 3 more alien species entered the room. One looked like a tall insect, another was reptilian, and the third appeared to be made of living crystal. These are representatives of other worlds that have broken free from Confederation control over the last decade. With our help and Arcturian guidance, they have built their own defenses. Talara looked at her fellow Confederation members with growing alarm. "How many?" 23 worlds so far, answered the crystal being. "All preparing, all waiting. Earth's revelation was the signal we've been waiting for." Ryan let this information sink in before continuing. "The Galactic Confederation has ruled through fear and technology for too long. That ends now." He pressed another button, and the hologram showed hundreds of ships gathered in a distant star system. "This is the Freedom Alliance fleet. Earth, ships, Arcturian vessels, and contributions from every liberated world. Together we now have more firepower than the entire Confederation." Zorian's voice was barely a whisper. "What do you want from us?" Ryan sat down across from the aliens. "Peace, real peace, not domination disguised as cooperation." He laid out a data pad on the table. "These are our terms. The Confederation will recognize the independence of any world that wishes to leave. No more harvest worlds, no more forced labor. Each species determines its own fate. The Confederation Council will never agree to this," Zorian said, but his voice lacked conviction. "They will when they see the alternative," Ryan replied. "Our fleet is already moving toward the Confederation capital world, not to attack, but to make our point clear." Talara picked up the datapad and read through it carefully. "These terms are actually reasonable. There are many in the Confederation who have argued for reform for centuries. This could be the push needed for change." "Change or conflict," Ryan said simply. "The choice is yours." For the first time, Zorian seemed to truly look at the humans with understanding rather than contempt. "We never imagined. We thought your kind were primitives. But you've outplayed us at every turn." Ryan shook his head. "This isn't about winning or losing. It's about survival and freedom. Humanity doesn't want to rule the galaxy. We just refuse to be ruled." As the meeting continued, messages arrived from across the galaxy. The news of Earth's fleet and the survival of the Arcturians was spreading rapidly. Several Confederation worlds had already declared their support for the Freedom Alliance terms. On Earth, people celebrated as the full truth was finally revealed to the public. The Phoenix program, kept secret for half a century, was now known to all. Humanity had not only survived its first major galactic crisis, it had emerged as a new power, one that would shape the future of 1,000 worlds. Ryan looked out the viewport at Jupiter's swirling clouds. The solar system that had been humanity's only home now seemed small compared to the vast galaxy that was opening before them. But whatever came next, Earth would face it united and prepared. 6 months had passed since the confrontation with the Galactic Confederation. The galaxy had changed forever. Admiral Lisa Howard stood on the observation deck of the massive space station that now orbited Jupiter. The station, named Unity, was the largest structure humans had ever built. It served as the headquarters for the new interstellar alliance. Lisa watched as ships from 24 different alien species came and went from the station's docking bays. Some were former Confederation worlds that had broken away to join the alliance. Others were newly discovered civilizations that had been hiding their true capabilities just as Earth had done. "Quite a view, isn't it?" said a voice behind her. Lisa turned to see Zorian. The former Confederation ambassador now served as a refugee liaison. After the Confederation Council had split between those who wanted war and those who wanted peace, Zorian had chosen to seek asylum with the Alliance. "I never thought I'd see this in my lifetime," Lisa admitted. 27 species working together as equals. Zorian moved to stand beside her. He looked different now, humbler, less proud. "My people were taught that power was everything, that the strong should rule the weak. It was our way for 10,000 years. And now? Now we learn a new way." He gestured to a group of young Confederation children playing with human and Arcturian children in a recreation area below. "These young ones will grow up with different ideas. That gives me hope." Lisa nodded. The path to peace had not been easy. After the initial confrontation, the Confederation had split into 2 factions. The reformers who wanted to join the Alliance and the traditionalists who saw any change as weakness. There had been some fighting, but less than expected. When faced with the combined might of Earth, the Arcturians and the other liberated worlds, most Confederation leaders had chosen negotiation over conflict. "Admiral Howard, you're needed in the council chamber," said her assistant through the communication device on her wrist. "On my way," she replied. The council chamber was a large circular room with seats for representatives from all Alliance worlds. Today, most of the seats were filled. At the center of the room stood Captain Nathan Reeves, recently promoted to lead Earth's exploration division. "The deep space probes have reached the edge of the Andromeda galaxy," Nathan announced as Lisa took her seat. "We've discovered at least 30 new civilizations, most of them pre-spaceflight." Images of strange new worlds appeared on the large screens around the chamber. "And the Confederation traditionalists?" asked Talera, who now represented the reformed Confederation worlds in the Alliance. "They've withdrawn to a dozen systems near the galactic core," Nathan replied. "Our monitoring stations show they're building defenses, not invasion fleets. I believe they've accepted the new reality, even if they won't join us." The Arcturian leader, a being named Zephyr, rose from his seat. His silver skin glowed slightly in the dim light. "We have more important matters to discuss. The probes have detected something else. Energy readings unlike anything we've seen before, coming from beyond the galaxy's edge." A murmur went through the chamber. Lisa leaned forward, immediately alert. "Are they artificial?" she asked. "Yes," Zephyr confirmed. "And they're moving this way." The room fell silent. Everyone was thinking the same thing. A new threat, possibly greater than the Confederation, had ever been. "How much time do we have?" asked the representative from Earth. "At their current speed, 5 years, perhaps 6, Zephyr answered. Lisa stood up. "Then we have work to do. This is why the Alliance exists, not just to maintain peace between our worlds, but to protect all our peoples from whatever is out there." The representatives began discussing plans for defense, research, and possibly contact with the unknown force. As they talked, Lisa noticed Zorian standing quietly at the back of the chamber. She walked over to him. "You don't seem surprised," she said quietly. Zorian shook his head. "There were always stories, legends really, about why the Confederation began in the first place. About an ancient enemy that nearly destroyed our ancestors. Most believed they were just myths to justify our conquests." But you think differently. Now, I think the galaxy is larger and more dangerous than we ever imagined, he replied. And I think that perhaps the humans arrived on the galactic stage at exactly the right moment. Lisa gave orders to prepare the Alliance fleet for a long-range exploration mission. The ships that had been built to defend Earth would now venture beyond known space to investigate this new potential threat. 3 days later, Lisa stood in the docking bay of the Unity station as the crew prepared for departure. The mission would be led by the Earth vessel Discovery, commanded by Ryan Foster, with ships from all Alliance species joining the expedition. "This is what we were meant to do," Ryan said as he prepared to board. "Not just fighting, but exploring. Learning," Lisa nodded. "Be careful out there. We don't know what you'll find." "That's the exciting part," Ryan replied with a smile. "6 months ago, we were hiding our ships pretending to be less than we are. Now we're leading the first true multi-species expedition in galactic history." As the ships departed from the station, people from dozens of worlds watched. Among them stood Abigail Wright, now an ambassador to the Alliance. She remembered that first meeting with Zorian on the International Space Station, when the aliens had looked down on humanity with such condescension. How quickly things had changed. The warships that had saved Earth were becoming what they were, always meant to be, bridges between worlds. On the bridge of the Discovery, Ryan Foster gave the order to proceed at full speed. The great ship, along with 20 vessels from other Alliance worlds, accelerated away from Jupiter. Their mission would take them further than any human had ever traveled, to face an unknown that might threaten all life in the galaxy. But they would not face it alone. The unity that had begun with Earth's surprising revelation of strength had grown into something more important than weapons or technology. It had become a true alliance of free worlds, standing together against whatever the universe might bring. As Earth grew small behind them, Ryan thought about the long journey ahead. The Confederation had thought humans would be impressed by their warships. Instead, humanity had changed the galaxy. Now they would venture into the unknown, not as conquerors like the Confederation, but as explorers and protectors of all free worlds. The greatest adventure was just beginning.